I got involved with Habitat because one of the girls I worked with had just retired from being on the board, Bonnie Brown. She had said something to me 3 different times, and I kind of blew her off at first because I had the impression, I didn't know anything about Habitat, but I had the impression that it was like, in a sense, a handout. And I was like, no, that's not for me. I want to have a house someday, but I don't know when that time is. So then finally, the 3rd time she asked me, she told me to research it. So I did, and I Googled and Googled after finding the Jacksonville, Florida website, and was like, no, I'm not going that far. Then I finally found the Morgan County one and did a lot of research, and I was like, oh, well, this isn't a handout. Just like everything else through my life, I get to work my butt off for it, so I can handle that. So then I just applied, and it kind of, Habitat took me from there.
As the family selection chair, I basically am there from point A to point Z. So they turn in a pre-application, and I'm the first one to view that, which just gives me some information about the applicant. And then as we move on from there, I help them look at their financial situation, which a lot of people who are applying have never even considered some of the things that we need to know.
You take a large population of people that want to own homes, and we have to basically make sure that they meet the income requirements, and they have to have good or repairable credit. They can't qualify for traditional bank financing. So there is kind of a small window. So we are always looking for clients, and certainly one way to get involved with Habitat is if you've got a friend, a coworker, someone in your church, somebody that's a next door neighbor maybe living in what you consider to be maybe unstable housing. Recommend Habitat. We'd love to talk to them and see if we could get them qualified. That's where it starts.
Kelly and I, when we first started with Habitat, before that, we lived in a small 2-bedroom bi-level apartment, and it was considered housing. It was on the south end of town, and it was a great apartment, but it was quickly getting very small for just the 2 of us. And I have always wanted to have a home of my own, but didn't know how I would ever do that because saving money is a chore. When you're not making a whole lot, it's hard. So whenever I finally heard about Habitat from one of the girls at work, then I investigated and applied, and I found out that that was, as long as I got approved, which I did, that was probably the smartest move for me, and to this day I don't regret it. So until I met with the team, Larry and Aaron and Dale and everyone, and actually got to sit down and figure out, okay, this is what you can expect. I didn't have any expectations or preconceptions of what to expect with the home build, but now that I'm in here and living in it, I honestly don't know if I could tell the difference between a house that was built 5 years ago by a whole professional team or my house built by a bunch of volunteers from Habitat and in the community. For the sweat equity hours, you have to do 250, and they like for you to do it both on the house, but that's hard to do, and I don't think anyone would ever want me to put up a wall for a house, let alone the foundation. So I tried my best to stay clear of that aspect. But once the walls got up and I was able to help with insulation and going on forward from there, I helped as much as I could. But I'd say the majority of my hours came from volunteering. I did a lot of volunteering out at the hospital on the weekends in their gift shop and main information desk. And then I also did some volunteer work at the Salvation Army retail store too, to help get the hours in. And that was long, like you almost felt like you're never gonna get the hours in, and then one day they're all in. And it's huge satisfaction. If I had someone that was interested in Habitat or wasn't sure what it was, I mean my biggest thing would be, first of all, you gotta apply and be patient, because it's a huge process. It's not like just going to the car lot and picking out a car and being like, I want that, and you leave with it that day. It's a process. But overall, just getting to watch your house go up and even helping with it and then getting to live in it, it's just like huge satisfaction. And even with the little bit of headaches you get in between it along the way, it's 110% worth it, if not more.
Habitat is one of the most successful nonprofit ventures in the United States, and I'm sure glad to be part of it. You know, I started out just doing it because I like building, but I like everything about it.